This is Avanti Deshpande, mother to two wonderful kids, a passionate food lover, a fitness lover, and a professional nutritionist. Well, today I'm going to talk to you about a very interesting topic. Actually, this was an article which I had read in Times of India lately, which was published on the 20th of April. The article quotes that obesity or people who are obese are at more risk for COVID-19 as compared to the healthy individuals. Well, in this study, it states that almost 73% of the people who were admitted in UK's NHS hospital were more critically ill when they were more exposed to obesity or the comorbidities like diabetes, hypertension, and cardiovascular diseases. This article further quotes that that is a study given by Dr. Srinath, that obesity, especially the abdominal area, or then the other types of obesity, release certain inflammatory factors in the body, which is the trigger factor for the risk of obesity being a risk either for COVID-19 or then giving a rise to the other comorbidities. Let us just try to understand how obesity acts as a risk factor. Well, an obese person generally has a high amount of adipose tissue. This adipose tissue starts making its own inflammatory factors, and this is something which really then gives rise to other comorbidities. So at the bottom line, it is very important that while you are tackling the obesity, it is very important that you also handle the inflammatory factors. So here are the 5 things which I am going to tell you right now that you can make changes in your diet to tackle obesity and have a better management of this pandemic or COVID-19. The first thing that you can do in your diet is, whenever you're trying to lose weight, a lot of time we make this mistake of often counting calories. Well, counting calories is not the only solution to your problem, or it's not the only advice that is given when you're trying to lose weight. Counting calories can often go wrong because carbohydrates have also got about 4 kilocalories per gram, so do proteins. But when you take a look at the functions in the body, proteins are more fat burning, whereas carbohydrates are the ones that further trigger the insulin and they further lead to the fat storage in the body. So it's not the same. So even though you're taking the same calories from the proteins and the carbohydrates, the way that they function in the body is going to be totally different. That is why it is very important, rather than just counting calories, see to it that you're focusing on your food groups. So there are different food groups. So you have the protein group, the carbohydrate group, the fruits and the vegetables group, and you have the fat group. Ideally speaking, you should have a moderate protein, you should have a moderate fat, probably carbohydrates on the lower side, and extremely high fiber content in your diet when you're trying to lose weight. So the first thing is, remember that you just don't try to lose weight by counting calories, but see the quality of the calories that you're consuming. That is my first tip. Secondly, when you're eating your lunch and your dinner, according to the Harvard, you should eat by the healthy plate method. Now, what is this healthy plate method according to the Indian context? If you consider a plate as 100% or as a full plate, as one big full whole size, about 20% raw salads, about 25% should be the sabzi or not the proteins, okay? The sabzi like your cauliflower or cabbage or other forms of sabzi. The remaining 25% can be any protein source. This could be the sprouts, the legumes, the soy, probably even curds that you're consuming, and 25% should be the carbs. Now the carbs will be the chapati, rice, in certain cases it would be even bread. So a whole plate should be consisting of all these things put together. So automatically what happens is there is a less stimulation of insulin, and there is a less fat storage that will happen, and the fiber is going to increase the transit time of the food in the gut. It is going to act as a prebiotic, and it is definitely going to give you a better advantage when you're trying to lose weight. The third most important thing is that you should never ever skip breakfast. Well, there are a lot of theories put up, like whether to skip breakfast, about intermittent fasting. But generic, if you go to see the easiest way out is try to have a breakfast which is a combination of a carbohydrate and a protein put together. The reason again being is the protein is going to give you a good muscle building, a good fat burning, and the carb is going to give you play a part of the energy building. So few examples is, you could consume something like parathas and dahi, or egg and bread, or oats and milk. So these are classic combinations of proteins and carbs put together. Definitely you could add good fats put over there, like you could add your almonds, you could add your flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, and that can go as a part of your breakfast. Consuming fruit can also be a good idea along with your breakfast, but remember, if you're consuming fruits like banana or mango, then it will be a carbohydrate, that won't be a fiber only. The next important thing is, especially to reduce obesity and to reduce inflammation, is consuming prebiotics and probiotics. Now, what are probiotics? These are, you all must be knowing, our intestine consists of a lot of live bacteria, large intestine especially, and they have a lot of positive roles to play, like vitamin manufacturing, energy metabolism, fighting the pathogens, all these functions that they play, and even fighting inflammation indirectly. Now, these good bacteria need to be increased, they need to be multiplied. So there are certain things that you could do. You could consume probiotics. Now, probiotics, example is curds. These are having live bacteria already present in them. So consuming about 1 bowl of curds in the day, or 1 glass of buttermilk any time in the day, especially because in the summers when you feel hot, you can consume that also. That is going to increase the load of your live bacteria and going to be definitely beneficial. Second is consuming a higher fiber in your diet. Like I was saying in the first, like fiber also gives you a increase in the transit time of the food in the gut, so that the absorption of the nutrients is better. It also acts as a food for the microorganisms. So automatically the microorganisms are better multiplied when prebiotics or high fiber foods are given in the diet, especially the insoluble fibers. Now, ghee is one more such factor which is required for increasing the microflora in your intestine. Not by virtue of being a prebiotic or a probiotic, but the saturated fats which are present in the ghee act as a food for these microorganisms, and automatically they will increase in number and also multiply, and the functions also better off. So see that you are having a good amount of prebiotic, probiotic in the diet. And finally, to reduce inflammation, try to do these things. First of all, remove junk food completely out of your diet. Junk food is something that increases inflammation 2-3 folds. This can be reduced by actually stopping the consumption of white flour, refined food products, ready to cook food products, and food products which are readily available, and then you just have to come and warm and heat, and the actual junk food like pizzas and burgers and all. So these are some junk food examples which you should try to avoid. Even a lot of bakery products also contain trans fats which can be categorized into junk food. These are something that increase the body's inflammation. There are certain foods which we call as anti-inflammatory. A few foods to name as are turmeric. So turmeric is anti-inflammatory. You can have it any time in the day, add it to your food, like most of the time that is added to the tadka. It's a very good idea to do that. Secondly, you could also consume turmeric, add it to ghee first thing in the morning before you start your anything else in the day. That's an excellent way to add ghee in the diet. Or probably you could have milk, you could have your turmeric added to the milk that you're consuming. Automatically, you will have a anti-inflammatory effect of the turmeric coming in. Then certain foods which are rich in omega-3 fatty acids. We have certain fatty fish which are high in omega-3 fatty acids. There are other vegetarian sources also, like the flax seeds, the pumpkin seeds, almonds, which are also high in omega-3 fatty acids. So try to have a lot of these included into your diet every day. Cruciferous vegetables, like the ones which belong to the family of cabbage, cauliflower, like the Brussels sprouts, even spinach, like the dark green leafy vegetables. So these are going to be very effective in reducing the inflammation. Try to incorporate all of these or most of these changes, the 5 ones that I have told you in the diet. They will help you to reduce obesity, they will take care of your inflammation, and they will prep you better to handle yourself in this pandemic and keep you as safe as possible. I hope you liked this video. Do subscribe to our channel for more such health tips. We come up with health tips more often. Stay safe, stay at home. Bye bye.